What is going on, guys? It's Negro Shot here, and today I'm going to give you guys my review for Legends of Tomorrow Season 1. So, to me, I think the first season of Legends of Tomorrow has been a complete roller coaster ride of highs and lows as the show's freshman outing struggled to avoid common CW show trappings. The series' first episode started off with some promise, introducing us to Rip Hunter, a time master who, against the will of the Time Council, has set off to recruit some of the characters previously introduced in the Arrowverse in order to save the world from being taken over by a ruthless villain named Vandal Savage. From the first few scenes of the show, it successfully set up the tone of the show, and it was thrilling to watch as Rip Hunter, as he rounded up our heroes, Men in Black style. I mean, that little device he used, I like that, and I love the fact that they brought that back for the finale. Legends of Tomorrow's first pilot episode established what we might come to expect from the show as it progressed. The creators, I felt like the creators were, I feel like they obviously were influenced by Marvel's Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, because the show tried to nail that fun space adventure vibe that Guardians of the Galaxy had, with also trying to occasionally add some humor in the form of one-liners. But in my opinion, most of the aforementioned one-liners were like they were terrible. They were horrible. They were horrible and cheesy. But when they worked because it felt natural for the character to say a certain line. The humor was like most effective near the end of the season when characters like Ray Palmer, played by Brandon Routh, and Mick Rory were interacting with each other. The Boy Scout nature of Ray Palmer clashed well with Rory's gruff immorality, making for some like very funny conversations between the two, especially within the final episodes. So however, I will say this. As I said before, I felt such moments when the humor clicked was rare. You know, while I understand that some cheesiness should be expected since we are talking about a CW show, some lines that certain characters used, it just either like it didn't fit certain characters or the delivery of the lines themselves kind of fell flat. And I think that's all. I think that's pretty much. But I think that's pretty much all the time I'm gonna spend on talking about the humor in the show because it's not too big of a deal. Humor aside, as you probably already know, the appeal of a show like Legends of Tomorrow is having a diverse cast of characters come together to fight a evil, to fight evil as a team. And seeing all of these heroes on screen at once, it's just fun. It's fun at a time, but all the action in the world means nothing if your characters aren't compelling or they don't work well together within the confines of each episode. To kind of sort of quote one of the Russo brothers, all the action without substance is pornography or something like that. So let's see where I want to start. So, okay, let's just talk about the start of Legends of Tomorrow. So, at the start of Legends of Tomorrow season, I gotta say, despite its cool premise, it took a long time to sort of cement its characters within the new story. Most of the characters prior to the show we had time to see developed on The Flash or on Arrow, but others like Kendra and Carter, we've only seen them briefly introduced in the Flash and Arrow crossover back in the fall. Kendra and Carter are Kendra and Carter were easily the weakest underdeveloped characters on the show, and it didn't help that the writers chose to completely kill off Carter. Like, well, not completely kill off, but they killed off Carter earlier earlier in the season, only to bring him back during the show's final few episodes. Like it was kind of a weird decision. They killed him off within the first, I want to say within the first 3 episodes. But see, the problem with that was, we never got time to get attached to his character and then learn more about him. The only thing we know about his character is that he's destined to be with Kendra. Who cares? And to make matters worse, the writers thought it would be a good idea to try to force a relationship between Kendra and Ray. And y'all already know where this is going. If y'all don't like the Olicity thing on Arrow, then this show also has that major problem if you haven't seen it. Instead of adding more depth to Kendra's character through hardship and big character moments, the writers opted to instead make her whole entire character revolve around proving that she is not destined to only love Carter. And they really tried to hammer that home with her character in a few episodes. But here's the thing. Not only like they went through all of that. The writers went through all of that for maybe like 3 or 4 episodes straight, right? Only for her to break up with Ray by the end of the show, by the end of the season, and then get with Carter, and then they flew away into the night. Why did anyone think that was good writing? Like that was retarded. The whole time Ray and Kendra were talking together during some of their scenes and talking about their relationship and crap, I'm just like, why are you wasting time with this? You already know that this isn't gonna work. The forced relationship between Kendra and Carter highlights a major problem in the Arrowverse as a whole. Maybe this is a CW thing, but the whole love triangle thing is not a good way to create tension among characters, nor is it something that helps to build a good connection between characters. Why did so why did there have to be an episode where Jefferson and Ray were trying to get with Kendra? The subplot just came out of left field. It felt weird since just a few episodes ago, Carter was killed. It was completely unrealistic to think that these characters would not leave this girl alone to mourn, to grieve over someone that she's loved in like pretty much every time, every like lifetime. Like, let the girl grieve. Getting back to my original point though, let's see. Do I want to go for it? No, I think I'm missing a point here. There's something else I wanted to cover after that. Okay. I okay. Let me go and get back on track. So, to me, I kind of feel like the writers involved with the Arrowverse, they seem to have a major problem with developing relationships that feel natural and earned. What makes matters worse is that just like in Arrow Season 3, the show seems to come to a complete screeching halt so that Kendra and Ray can have a moment at times. The forced relationship the forced relationship drama slowed down several episodes, but thankfully the last 2 episodes didn't have this pacing problem. This is largely due to the fact that Kendra was captured within the last 2 episodes, I want to say. And man, did this show kind of click when she and Carter, weren't in the picture. Okay. So that was the last thing I wanted to cover I think that's the last thing I wanted to cover for the whole Kendra Carter. Kendra I was about to say Kendra Carter, Kendra and Ray thing. But getting back to my original point, it took a while for the characters on this show to like really come together, really just live together on the show. For a while, it felt like Leonard Snart and Mick Rory. It felt like they belonged on a completely different show. They just didn't fit. I got the feeling that so here's what I'm gonna say. I got I kind of like I got what the creators were trying to go for. They were trying to create a ragtag team of misfits, similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm probably gonna mention that movie like several times over in this review, so get ready to just keep hearing me mention the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the influence is very clear to see. Uh, it took a while before these characters felt like they belonged in the same room as characters like Sarah and Rip and Martin Stein. Uh, I will say this though. After episode After the episode Left Behind, where Mick Rory is revealed to be Kronos, these two characters began to work more naturally into the show. I still hated what's his name? Wentworth Miller. I guess that's how you say his name. I still hated his acting. And don't get me wrong though. I think he's a good actor. I've seen a little bit of Prison Break. Uh, I just think that his acting on the show hasn't been great. I mean, he just snarls like everything he says. If I could do like a quick impression of Leonard Snart, uh, what are we gonna do now, Rip? Like, it kind of sounds like that to me. Like, I don't know. He just snarls all the time. But Dominic Purcell, however, has gotten way better on this show as Mick, and like I'm very surprised. I actually started to like the character a lot more as the show progressed. At first, when when there was that episode where, of course, Ray's gonna die at the end. When I mean, not when Ray died. When Leonard Snart died, close near the end of the season. At first, I was like, well, why did y'all kill Mick? But then, as soon as maybe like the two episodes after that, I'm like, okay, you know what? Keep Mick around. I like him now. He's growing. Cause it's been fun it's been fun to see Mick interact with Rip Hunter and especially with Ray during the final episodes of the season. It's created some really great moments having Mick around with Ray especially. In fact, by the time the season's final few episodes aired, most of the characters had grown in some way and had developed some sort of bond with one another. Sarah and Snart even formed a strong bond with one another, which could have led to a relationship that it would have made more sense than trying to hook up Ray Palmer and Kendra, because both characters have a sort of, they have a sort of moral code that they like to stick to, and they aren't afraid to sort of strike out on their own. Sarah and Rip, they also worked well together, and they often butted heads a lot, and there was a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension and friction between those two characters on a lot of different occasions. Rip and Sarah, they definitely had conflicting. Let's see, how I want to word this. There were just certain moments where Sarah wanted to do one thing, Rip wanted to do something else, and they're just arguing, and I don't know. It was great to see. It was great to see. Great to see those two characters interact. But actually, when I think about it, not only was there tension between, not only was there tension and friction between Sarah and Rip. Actually, Rip Hunter's deception to his whole entire team and his selfishness led to a lot of tension between him and his crew, his entire crew. Hunter's willingness to just risk everything, even his own team, to like save his family, made his character interesting and enjoyable to watch. And when he struggled to do the right thing for others, that the team encounters throughout their time traveling adventures, I thought that was really fun to watch. Now I've shared with you guys some of my thoughts on some of the various characters on the show. I kind of want to speak briefly about the action scenes in this show. Like Arrow, most of the physical fighting feels too choreographed, and it just kind of lacked any weight to them. Perhaps watching too much Daredevil has weakened my tolerance for the type of fights that are usually brought to the CW shows, but even the first two seasons of Arrow I thought had, better hand-to-hand combat. I mean, Daredevil has, great fight scenes, but when you go back and then just like watch something like Arrow and then watch something like Legends of Tomorrow, you're just like, what the heck is this crap? But outside of that, I thought the CGI effects for the show, I thought the CGI effects for the show were just okay. They were okay for the TV budget, but there were a few scenes that kind of looked horrible. For example, uh, there was this one scene where I think this happened like later in the season where Ray turned giant, and then okay, so Ray turned giant, and then he was like fighting this big machine called the Leviathan, and I believe it was episode 13. That whole fight was just like really really clunky. Ray was moving all slow and the machine was moving all slow, and it just the whole fight was clunky. Very very clunky fight. There was also like a few scenes with the Wave Rider and everything. When it's like flying around in the temporal space of time or whatever, it kind of looked weird. But you know, what could I expect? It's CGI effects on a TV budget, so I'm not gonna complain too much about that. Uh, but moving past that, there there were some memorable moments this season in terms of fights and everything. Most notably when most notably I'll say this when the team went up against the Pilgrim in the episode The Last Refuge. I love that shot where the entire team was fighting against the Pilgrim, and the action just froze, and the camera sort of shifted around the entire team, and like the entire team was just going at her. It was a great scene. That was a great scene. And you know what? In fact, you know what? I want to say the entire episode. That entire episode was probably one of the best of the season. That was the episode where the team. I believe that was the episode where the team was going back through time, trying to get their younger selves because the Pilgrim was going to try to kill them. It led to some great moments. Led to some really great moments. But outside of that, there were other great episodes too. There was Star City 2046, which featured an older defeated version of Oliver Queen. The pilot episode, which I mentioned before, it had a cool well, it had a cool bar scene, a cool fight scene in a bar that I thought that scene captured the Guardians of the Galaxy vibe perfectly. And then the episode Progeny and Marooned, which I'll say this about the episodes Progeny and Marooned, that what, when I saw these episodes at first, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't impressed. But the more I think about it, the more I think on it, these episodes, those two episodes I just mentioned, they they helped characters like Mick Rory and Rip and Sarah and Stein and Snart to either grow some way or establish a bond with a fellow crewmate or solidify the moral codes of these characters. So those two episodes were needed, and I'll say that those two episodes were good episodes. But outside of that, though, outside of that, I gotta say, I felt like the other 6 or 7 or so episodes were either metacore, were either mediocre. I don't know why I can't say the word mediocre right on my first try. I really can't. Like, I've always struggled with that word for some reason. I don't know. But but you know what? Those episodes to me were mediocre. They were either mediocre or different. I mean, or God, there's another word I want to use here. Decent, decent. I don't know why I said different at first, but those episodes were either mediocre or decent. You know, they were just okay episodes, either okay or just below average. The team. So here are some of the things that I did not like in some of those episodes. Just to name a few things. This is not going to be a extensive list of things that were bad in the other 6 to 7 episodes. The team being split up constantly, that was annoying. The writers probably did this so that the team wouldn't be so overpowered against nearly every threat that they faced in the show. And another superhero show, uh, Agents of Shield. If you watch that, they did that earlier. They did that. I want to say earlier or later during the season, uh, where Sky recruited some of the Inhumans and everything, and they would have these episodes where I don't want to get too far into it, but basically this show did the same thing that Agents of Shield did, which I think is kind of, I don't want to say it's a cop out. I hate that. Kendra being unable to kill Savage for whatever stupid reason they gave, because I'm not about to sit there and try to go through all of that. And I accidentally just pressed the button on my PlayStation right now, so you guys probably heard that. Uh, let's see. There was just something else that I wanted to mention. Okay, uh, let me go ahead and expand on that last point. Wait, hold on. Is there something that I missed? Because I want to make sure I give you guys everything in this review. Uh, oh, okay. So let me expand on that point. Kendra not being able to kill Savage for whatever stupid reason. Uh, the writers. Okay, so the writers did a poor job establishing basically how Kendra, Savage, and Carter's powers worked. The writers didn't handle the time travel aspect. They didn't handle the time travel aspect well either. I thought the writers did a poor job with both of those things. They had some very interesting concepts, with the vanishing point and the Oculus by the end of the season, but it often felt like the writers hadn't developed. It kind of felt like the writers didn't develop a clear set of ground rules regarding how time worked. Like it just felt like they didn't develop a clear set of ground rules for how time worked for this show. And by the season finale, it kind of felt like they were just making things up as they went along, or something like that. If you need an example what I of Okay, so if you need an example of what I mean, remember when Kendra wrote a note in the helmet, in like the soldier's helmet at the end of the season, well, not the end of the season finale, but like, I want to say in the middle of the season finale, Kendra wrote a note, and like she stuck it in a helmet, and the helmet was on the ship. Or what about, Vandal Savage's plan with the meteorites at the end? Correct me if I'm wrong, but this show hasn't explored or attempted to explain time paradoxes or temporal displacement or whatever Rip explained happened to the helmet on the ship during the finale. My point is this: unlike a show like 12 Monkeys, which is also about time, it's also about time travel. You know, 12 Monkeys, I'll give this show credit. I'll give this show credit, and this is a sci-fi show. So 12 Monkeys, it sort of, it seeds its time travel concepts throughout episodes and then expands on the stuff later. This show introduces new concepts without without laying any clear groundwork for the audience. Like that is a major problem that I hope going forward. I hope going forward as they introduce new concepts, those sort of, you know, it'll be more grounded and more established by the time they introduce new things. I don't know. But overall, I gotta say, I thought season one of Legends of Tomorrow was a decent start to this superhero team series. I have higher expectations for season two as both Kendra and Carter won't be around, assuming that the article that I read is accurate. And then we also got a tease for the Justice Society to look forward to. And I'm not even gonna pretend to know a lot about the Justice Society. I just know it's kind of like the Justice League, so get hyped for that, I guess. But I gotta say, so for right now, if I was going to give this season a rating, I would have to give it a 6.5 out of 10. This show could have been a lot better had the villain be a lot stronger, and like I said a few moments ago, if they would have took time to sort of seed those time travel concepts and make the concepts, you know, make the make the time travel concept sort of feel natural and or organic and make sense. And if they would have, if the writers would have not focused too much on Kendra and Carter for some episodes and a lot of other things that I mentioned in this review, that's why I have to give this show a 6.5 out of 10. I would give it a 7, but I don't think it deserves a 7. So that's all I can say about season one of Legends of Tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out of here. Peace.